Captain Veltar stood before the main viewing screen of his ship, the Zenith Harmony. His blue skin rippled with excitement as he watched the third planet from the yellow star grow larger. This was what he lived for, discovering new worlds and meeting new friends across the galaxy. "Captain," called his science officer, Dr. Kethra. Her 4 arms moved quickly across her controls. "I'm reading something strange about this planet." Veltar walked over to her station. His people, the Altarians, were known throughout the Galactic Confederation for being peaceful explorers. They had discovered more than half of the current member worlds. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "The gravity is 3 times what we consider normal. The atmosphere has 21% oxygen. That's poisonous to most life forms. And Captain," she paused, her large eyes growing wider, "there are predators everywhere. Big ones, small ones, flying ones, swimming ones." Veltar felt his stomach turn. A world full of predators? Most civilized species came from gentle worlds where the biggest danger was falling from a tree. "Are you sure the scanners are working correctly?" "I've checked them twice, Captain. This is what we call a death world. I've never seen one with intelligent life before." The ship's communications officer, a tall, thin being called Zorak, suddenly spoke up. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the planet. It's in multiple languages." "Put it on screen," Veltar ordered. The main screen changed to show a creature unlike anything Veltar had ever seen. It stood on 2 legs, had only 2 arms, and was covered in what looked like artificial skin. Its face had 2 forward-facing eyes, the mark of a predator. "Greetings," the creature said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing the United Earth Government. We welcome you to our star system. We hope we can be friends." Veltar nearly fell backward. Not only was this creature a predator, but it spoke their language perfectly and seemed friendly. "How did you learn our language?" Veltar managed to ask. The human, they called themselves humans, smiled. This showing of teeth should have been threatening, but somehow it felt warm. "We've been listening to your communications for 50 of our years. We've been waiting for someone to visit us." "You've been listening to us for 50 years and never said anything?" "We didn't want to scare anyone. We know how we must look to other species. We wanted to wait until someone came to us first." Over the next few hours, Veltar learned more about humans than he thought possible. They came from a world where the ground shook regularly, where water fell from the sky with great force, where giant storms could destroy entire cities. They shared their planet with creatures that could kill them easily. Yet they had become the dominant species not through size or strength, but through intelligence and cooperation. Dr. Vasquez explained that humans were what they called persistence hunters. They would chase their prey for days across vast distances until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Veltar felt sick just thinking about it. But the more he talked to the humans, the more confused he became. These predators had created beautiful art. They made music that touched his soul. They had ended most wars on their planet and worked together to explore space. They seemed nothing like the monsters their biology suggested they should be. "Dr. Vasquez," Veltar said carefully, "would it be possible for some of your people to visit our ship? We have protocols for first contact that require us to understand your species better." "Of course," she replied, "but I should warn you. We might seem frightening at first. We're much heavier and stronger than most species we've observed. We don't want to accidentally hurt anyone." 30 minutes later, a small human shuttle docked with the Zenith Harmony. Veltar waited in the docking bay with his senior officers, all of them nervous about meeting their first predator species. The airlock opened and 3 humans stepped out. They moved carefully, almost gently, as if they were afraid of breaking something. The first was Dr. Vasquez, followed by a male human wearing what looked like a military uniform, and a female in a blue outfit. "Captain Veltar," Dr. Vasquez said. May I present Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Indomitable and Colonel James Harrison of our Planetary Defense Force." Veltar watched in amazement as Captain Chen walked forward. Each step was careful and controlled, but he could sense the power in her movements. When she extended her hand in what humans called a handshake, Veltar noticed she barely squeezed at all. Yet he could feel the strength she was holding back. "It's an honor to meet you, Captain Veltar," Chen said. "We've dreamed of this day for generations." The next week was spent in careful talks and examinations. The humans submitted to every test the Confederation required, answering every question with patience and honesty. They demonstrated their technology, shared their history, and explained their culture. Dr. Zefani, the Confederation's top xenobiologist, spent hours studying the humans. She watched Captain Chen lift equipment that should have required 3 Altarians to move. She saw Colonel Harrison survive in an atmosphere that would have killed most species in minutes. She observed Dr. Vasquez heal from a small cut in hours instead of days. "They're impossible," Dr. Zefani told Veltar privately. "Everything about them should make them violent, aggressive monsters. But they're the most gentle, careful beings I've ever encountered. They're constantly worried about hurting us by accident." When the Zenith Harmony returned to Confederation space, the Central Council was deeply divided. Many species were terrified of allowing predators into their peaceful galaxy. Others were fascinated by these strange beings who seemed to have overcome their violent nature. The debate lasted for weeks. Finally, they reached a compromise. Humans would be granted provisional membership in the Confederation, but with strict limits. They could not serve in any military capacity. They could not visit certain peaceful worlds. They would be watched carefully for any signs of their true nature showing through. Captain Chen and her crew aboard the Indomitable became humanity's first ambassadors to the galaxy. They traveled from world to world, carefully proving that humans could be trusted. They helped solve technical problems that had puzzled alien engineers for years. They shared their art and music, bringing new beauty to ancient cultures. But always, the fear remained. In every room they entered, conversations stopped. Other species watched them with nervous eyes, waiting for the predators to show their teeth. Chen understood this fear. She had seen the files on humanity that the Confederation kept. To them, humans were Deathworlders, beings from a planet so hostile that survival required becoming something unnatural. They couldn't understand how creatures that evolved to hunt and kill could choose to create and protect instead. "Give us time," Chen told the Council during one of her regular reports. "We know what we look like to you. We know our history is full of violence and war, but we've grown beyond that. We've chosen to be better than our nature demands." The Council listened politely, but Chen could see the doubt in their eyes. They were waiting for humanity to fail, for the predators to finally show their true faces. None of them knew that this test would come sooner than anyone expected, and when it did, the galaxy would learn what humans were truly capable of when everything they cared about was threatened. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Confederation, and the galaxy was slowly learning that humans were nothing like what anyone expected. Dr. Zefani floated in her laboratory aboard the research station Harmony's Edge, reviewing the latest reports about human capabilities. Each new discovery amazed her more than the last. According to her instruments, humans should not be able to do half the things they did every day. "Computer, show me the strength comparison data again," she said. Numbers filled the screen before her. The average human could lift objects weighing up to twice their body weight without mechanical assistance. Most Confederation species needed powered suits to lift anything heavier than their own bodies. Yet humans did this casually, as if it was nothing special. "And the healing rates?" she asked. More impossible data appeared. Humans healed from cuts and bruises in days instead of weeks. Their bones could repair themselves from breaks that would permanently cripple other species. They could survive blood loss that would kill any other known life form. A soft chime indicated someone was requesting entry to her lab. "Come in," she called. Captain Sarah Chen walked through the door, moving with that careful grace all humans seem to possess. She carried a datapad and wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Dr. Zafani, thank you for seeing me," Chen said. "I have the cultural exchange reports you requested." Zafani's tentacles curled with pleasure. Despite her scientific fascination with human biology, she had grown genuinely fond of Captain Chen. The human had spent hours answering her questions about Earth and human society. "Please sit," Zafani said, gesturing to one of the reinforced chairs they had installed for human visitors. Regular furniture couldn't support their dense bone structure and heavy muscle mass. Chen settled into the chair with practiced ease. "I wanted to discuss the reaction we're getting on some of the worlds we've visited." "Oh? People are still afraid of us?" Chen said simply. "I understand why. We know what we look like to other species. But I was hoping you might have some suggestions for how we can help people feel more comfortable." This was what fascinated Dr. Zafani most about humans. Any other predator species would have used fear as a weapon. Humans seemed genuinely distressed when others were afraid of them. "Tell me about your latest diplomatic mission," Zafani said. Chen's face brightened. "We visited the Kalani homeworld last week. Their people have been struggling with a disease that attacks their nervous systems. Our doctors think they might be able to help." "And how did that go?" "Better than expected. Dr. Martinez was able to identify the problem in just 2 days. The Kalani medical system approaches disease very differently than we do. They try to work around the problem. We humans tend to attack it directly." Dr. Zafani made notes on her datapad. This was another pattern she had noticed. Human medicine was aggressive in ways that sometimes shocked alien doctors, but it was also remarkably effective. Dr. Martinez suggested a treatment that would kill the disease organisms outright instead of just managing the symptoms. The Kalani doctors were horrified at first. They thought it was too violent. But when they saw the results... "The results?" Zafani prompted. "Complete cure in 73% of patients. The Kalani had never seen anything like it. They're calling it a miracle." A sudden alarm echoed through the station. Both Chen and Dr. Zafani looked up in surprise. "Attention all personnel," came the voice of Station Commander Veltar. "We have received a distress call from the merchant vessel Peaceful Journey. They are under attack by pirates in the Karas system. All available ships respond immediately." Chen was on her feet before the announcement finished. "Dr. Zafani, I need to go. The Indomitable is the fastest ship docked here." "Captain, wait," Zafani called. "Humans are not authorized for military operations. The Council was very clear about that." Chen paused at the door. "This isn't a military operation. It's a rescue mission. There are civilians in danger." Before Dr. Zafani could respond, Chen was gone, moving with that deceptively quick human stride toward the docking bays. 20 minutes later, Dr. Zafani watched from the station's observation deck as 3 Confederation patrol ships and the human vessel Indomitable jumped to hyperspace. She felt a mixture of excitement and worry. This would be the first time humans had been involved in any kind of conflict since joining the Confederation. The rescue mission became legendary within hours. According to the reports that came back, the Peaceful Journey had been carrying refugees from a natural disaster when pirates attacked. The Confederation patrol ships arrived to find the pirates already boarding the merchant vessel. What happened next shocked everyone involved. The Confederation ships tried to negotiate, as was standard protocol. Pirates were usually reasonable people who just needed better options in life. But these pirates were different. They were part of a violent gang that had been growing bolder in recent months. When negotiations failed, the patrol ships prepared for a careful, measured response designed to disable the pirate vessels without hurting anyone. This was the Confederation way. Minimum force, maximum compassion. Then, the Indomitable arrived. Captain Chen opened communications with the pirate leader and said just 7 words: "Release the civilians or face the consequences." The pirate laughed and cut the transmission. What the pirates didn't know was that humans had been studying Confederation records for months, learning about every species in the galaxy. They knew that the Torcan pirates were a species that respected only strength and feared only death. Chen ordered her ship to move between the pirates and their escape route. Then she activated the Indomitable's external lights, illuminating her ship from every angle. The pirates could see everything. They could see the sleek, predatory lines of the human vessel. They could see the weapon ports that looked disturbingly organic. Most importantly, they could see the humans through the transparent sections of the bridge. Captain Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her arms crossed, staring directly at the pirate ship. Even through the communication screen, her predator's eyes were clearly visible. Behind her, the rest of the human crew moved with that careful, controlled precision that spoke of barely restrained power. The pirates took one look at the humans and surrendered immediately. Later, when questioned by Confederation officials, the pirate leader said something that was reported throughout the galaxy. "We've heard about the Deathworlders. We know what worlds like theirs create. We're thieves, not idiots. Only a fool fights a predator when the predator is protecting its young." The civilian refugees were all rescued safely. Not a single shot had been fired. The pirates were taken into custody and would be given counseling and job training, as was Confederation policy. But the real story wasn't the rescue itself. It was what happened afterward. Security Chief Marcus Torres, a large human with scars from his planet's military service, was helping the refugees transfer to the rescue ships. An elderly Altarian woman was struggling with a heavy bag of belongings. Torres immediately stepped forward to help, lifting the bag easily with one hand. The woman looked up at this scarred predator who towered over her, expected to see violence in his eyes. Instead, she saw gentleness. Torres set the bag down carefully and offered his arm to help her walk to the transport ship. "Thank you, young man," the elderly woman said. Torres smiled, that human expression that should have been threatening but somehow wasn't. "No problem, ma'am. We're all just trying to get home safe." Dr. Zephani included this story in her report to the Confederation Council. She was beginning to understand something important about humans. Their strength wasn't their greatest weapon. Their choice to be gentle was. But in the far reaches of the galaxy, something else had noticed the emergence of these new Deathworlders. Long-range sensors had detected signals from a mechanical intelligence that had been sleeping between the stars for 1,000 years. The Devourers were awakening, and they were coming to see what these humans were all about. The emergency session of the Galactic Confederation War Council had been going on for 6 hours, and Admiral Kothra was losing hope with each passing minute. The holographic display in the center of the council chamber showed a terrifying sight. A massive fleet of mechanical ships moving steadily through the outer rim of the galaxy. Each ship was the size of a small moon, and there were thousands of them. "How long until they reach inhabited space?" asked Counselor Veltar, his blue skin pale with worry. 4 months, 17 days, replied Admiral Kothra. Maybe less if they increase speed. Dr. Zephani studied the readings from her floating position near the display. These are definitely the Devourers. The energy signatures match the ancient records perfectly. A collective shudder ran through the council chamber. Every species in the Confederation knew the stories of the Devourers, even though they hadn't been seen for over 1,000 years. They were machines, created by some long-dead civilization, with one purpose: to consume all organic life and add its technology to their collective knowledge. 17 civilizations, whispered Counselor Miranth, a peaceful tree-like being whose people had never known war. 17 entire civilizations consumed before they disappeared into deep space. Admiral Kothra activated another set of displays. We've run every simulation our computers can manage. Our combined fleets have 12,000 ships of various sizes. We have advanced energy weapons, sophisticated shields, and the finest minds in the galaxy. And, prompted Veltar, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. Every simulation ends the same way. Total defeat within 72 hours. The council chamber fell silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. The Confederation had maintained peace for over 3,000 years. Their ships were designed for exploration, rescue, and police work. They had weapons, but they were built to disable, not destroy. What about evacuation? Asked Counselor Jexal, a small furry being whose people were known for their practical thinking. Impossible, Admiral Kothra replied. The Devourers move too fast, and they target evacuation ships first. They want to preserve industrial capacity and force the population to work for them until they can build automated systems. Then what do you suggest? Veltar asked. Admiral Kothra hesitated. There is one option we haven't discussed. What option? The humans. Another silence filled the chamber, this one deeper and more uncomfortable than the first. Dr. Zafani spoke first. Admiral, the humans have been with us for only 6 months. They've proven themselves to be peaceful, helpful members of our community. We can't ask them to fight our wars. With respect, Doctor, Admiral Kothra said. They're the only ones who can. I've been studying their historical records, the ones they've shared with us. These beings have been at war for their entire development as a species. That's exactly why we shouldn't involve them, protested Counselor Maranth. They come from a violent world. If we give them weapons and ask them to fight, we might just be unleashing a different kind of monster. A monster that chooses to heal our sick and protect our civilians? Dr. Zafani asked. I've spent 6 months studying humans, Counselor. Their capacity for violence is matched only by their capacity for compassion. Admiral Kothra activated a new display. Look at this. Human military history spans 8,000 years of almost constant warfare. They've fought with sticks and stones, with chemical explosives, with energy weapons, in space, on planets, in every environment imaginable. They know tactics and strategies that we've never even considered. Because we chose to evolve beyond such things, Maranth said firmly. And that choice has served us well for 3,000 years of peace, Admiral Kothra agreed. But now we face an enemy that doesn't share our values. The Devourers don't negotiate. They don't compromise. They consume. We need someone who understands that kind of thinking. Veltar looked around the chamber. Are we seriously considering asking a species of predators to lead our military response? Do we have a choice? Admiral Kothra asked. Before anyone could answer, the chamber's communication system activated. Council members, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Indomitable. I'm requesting permission to address the Council on a matter of urgent importance. The Council members looked at each other in surprise. Humans weren't supposed to have access to emergency Council frequencies. How did she? Veltar began. Captain Chen, Admiral Kothra said. You're not authorized to monitor Council communications. With respect, Admiral, we've been monitoring all communications since the Devourer fleet was detected. It's what we do when people we care about are threatened. Dr. Zafani felt a chill run through her. The humans had been watching them the entire time, and no one had detected it. Captain, Veltar said carefully. What did you want to say to the Council? We know you're debating whether to ask for our help. We also know you're afraid of what we might become if you give us weapons and turn us loose. I'm here to tell you that you're right to be afraid. The Council chamber became dead, silent. Chen's voice continued through the communication system. We are predators. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We evolved to hunt, to fight, to survive in conditions that would destroy most life forms. When we make war, we make it with everything we have. Counselor Miranth, was visibly shaking now. But, Chen continued, we're also the species that chose to stop making war on each other. We're the ones who decided that our strength should be used to protect the weak, not exploit them. We've seen what we become when we let our predator nature run free, and we chose to be better. What are you proposing, Captain? Admiral Kothra asked. Give us command of your fleets. Give us access to your weapons and your tactical data. Let us show you what Deathworlders do when the people they've sworn to protect are threatened. And after the Devourers are defeated? Veltar asked. What happens to the Predators with all those weapons? The same thing that happens now, Chen replied. We go back to exploring, to healing, to creating art and music and beauty. Because that's who we chose to be. Dr. Zafani found herself speaking before she realized it. I believe her. All eyes turned to her. I've spent 6 months studying humans, she continued. I've seen their strength, their capabilities, their potential for violence. But I've also seen them choose, again and again, to be gentle. They could have demanded military positions from the beginning. They could have used their abilities to intimidate or control. Instead, they became doctors and artists and diplomats. Because they wanted us to trust them, Miranth said. What better way? To infiltrate our society than to appear harmless? No, Dr. Zafani said firmly. Because they truly want to be our friends. I've seen them with our children, Miranth. I've watched human soldiers play gentle games with younglings who should have been terrified of them. These aren't beings planning conquest. They're beings trying to find their place in a galaxy that fears them. Admiral Kothra studied the displays showing the approaching Devourer fleet. We need to make a decision. Every hour we delay gives the Devourers more time to prepare. I call for a vote, Veltar said. All in favor of granting humans temporary military command authority? The voting took less than 5 minutes. The result was closer than Dr. Zafani had hoped, but clear enough. Captain Chen, Veltar said, the Galactic Confederation War Council hereby grants you and your people temporary command authority over all military operations related to the Devourer threat. May the stars help us all. Thank you, counselors. Chen replied. I won't lie to you. What comes next is going to be ugly. You're about to see what humans do when everything we care about is at stake. Just remember that we're doing it for you. As the council session ended, Dr. Zafani wondered if they had just saved the galaxy or doomed it. In a few months, they would have their answer. The Devourers were coming, and the Deathworlders were preparing to meet them. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the CNS Liberation, the largest ship in the Confederation fleet. Around her, alien officers worked at stations that had been modified for human use, strengthened to handle human strength, adjusted for human reflexes, and configured for the kind of high-stress operations that most species couldn't endure. 3 weeks had passed since the War Council gave humans military command, and Chen had used every hour to transform the Confederation's peaceful fleet into something that could fight the Devourers. Admiral, we're receiving the final reports from all battle groups, announced Lieutenant Commander Torres from the tactical station. His scarred hands moved quickly over controls that still looked too delicate for human use. Chen nodded. Let's hear it. Battle Group Alpha reports all modifications complete. Confederation energy weapons have been supplemented with kinetic projectile systems. Battle Group Beta has finished installing the new targeting computers. Human reflexes can track targets moving 30% faster than the old systems could handle. Dr. Zafani, who had been assigned as scientific advisor to the human command staff, floated near the command center. She was still amazed by what she had seen over the past 3 weeks. The humans had looked at the Confederation's weapons and tactics like a doctor examining a patient. Everything was too slow, too gentle, too concerned with avoiding collateral damage. Within days, they had begun modifying everything. What about the crews? Chen asked. That's more complicated, Admiral, Torres replied. The Altarian crews are adapting well to the new command structures. The Kalani are struggling with the acceleration requirements. The Moran are having trouble with the aggressive targeting protocols. Chen frowned. This had been the biggest challenge. Most Confederation species had evolved beyond conflict so completely that their minds simply couldn't process the kind of rapid, violent decision-making that space combat required. We'll have to pair them with human officers, Chen decided. One human per critical station with full override authority. Admiral, Dr. Zafani said hesitantly. Some of the crew members are afraid. They've never served with predators before, and the humans are so intense during combat drills. Chen looked around her bridge. Every human officer was focused on their work with a level of concentration that most species found disturbing. Their eyes never stopped moving, constantly, scanning for threats. Their bodies were tense, ready to react instantly to danger. I understand their fear, Chen said. We know how we look to them, but when the Devourers arrive, that intensity is going to be the only thing keeping them alive. The communication system chimed. Admiral Chen, this is Captain Liu aboard the My Indomitable. Long-range sensors are detecting the Devourer fleet. They'll be in weapons range in 6 hours. Chen felt that familiar calm settle over her, the same feeling human soldiers had described for thousands of years when battle became inevitable. Around her, she could see the same change in every human on the bridge. They stopped moving like diplomats and started moving like warriors. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Condition 1. All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. Throughout the fleet, aliens watched in amazement as their human officers transformed. The gentle, careful beings they had worked with for weeks suddenly became something else entirely. Their movements became quicker, more precise. Their voices became sharp and clear. Their eyes became flat and cold. On the bridge of the CNS Harmony, Dr. Kethra watched her human liaison officer, Commander Jackson, prepare for battle. Commander, are you feeling well? Your behavior seems different. Jackson looked at her with eyes that seemed to see everything at once. I'm feeling exactly like I should, Doctor. We're about to fight for the survival of everyone we care about. This is what humans become when that happens. 6 hours later, the Devourer fleet arrived. Dr. Zefani had studied the ancient records, but nothing had prepared her for the reality. The Devourer ships were massive, dark things that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved with mechanical precision, spreading out in formations that spoke of cold, calculating intelligence. Fleet composition? Chen asked. 733 heavy combat units, Torres reported, each one massing approximately 50 million tons. They're launching smaller units now. Looks like fighters or boarding craft. Our fleet status? 1,200 ships in total. Confederation vessels modified with human weapons, plus 47 human ships transferred from Earth. Dr. Zafani did the math in her head. The Devourer ships were larger and had been designed for nothing but destruction. The odds were still terrible. Admiral, called the communications officer. The Devourers are transmitting. Let's hear it. The voice that came through the speakers was mechanical, emotionless. Organic life forms, you will surrender all technology and submit to processing. Resistance will result in destruction of all industrial capacity. You have one standard time unit to comply. Chen opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships. This is Admiral Chen. You've all heard their offer. They want to turn us into slaves until they can build machines to replace us. Then they'll kill us all anyway. She paused, looking around at the mixed human and alien crew on her bridge. 6 months ago, most of you had never seen a human being. You were afraid of us because we came from a world that taught us how to fight and kill. Today, I'm going to show you why that was actually a good thing. The Devourers opened fire first. Their weapons were beyond anything in the Confederation. Databases. Beams of energy that could cut through a ship's hull like it was paper. The first volley destroyed 6 Confederation vessels instantly, but the fleet was already moving before the enemy weapons fired. Human reflexes had seen the target locking sequences and begun evasive maneuvers that should have been impossible for ships that size. "All ships, execute Alpha Strike," Chen ordered. What happened next became the subject of study for military historians for generations to come. The human battle plan wasn't based on Confederation military doctrine. It was based on 8,000 years of human warfare. Instead of trying to match the Devourer's superior firepower, the humans used tactics that no mechanical intelligence could have predicted. Ships that should have been fighting in formation suddenly broke apart and attacked from 17 different directions simultaneously. Vessels that appeared to be retreating suddenly reversed course and rammed into Devourer ships at full acceleration. Small human fighters used the mass of larger ships as cover while they fired kinetic rounds at precisely calculated weak points. "Target their sensor arrays," Chen commanded. "If they can't see us, they can't hit us." Dr. Zafani watched in amazement as the human officers worked. They were processing information and making decisions faster than their alien counterparts, could even understand what was happening. More importantly, they were making decisions that no rational, peaceful mind would ever consider. "Commander Torres, take us directly between those 2 Devourer heavy units," Chen ordered. "Admiral, that's suicide," protested the Altarian navigation officer. "Our shields can't handle fire from both directions." "They won't fire," Chen said, calmly. "They're afraid of hitting each other." She was right. The Devourers held their fire rather than risk damaging their own ships, giving the Liberation just enough time to disable both vessels' engines with concentrated kinetic bombardment. But the real turning point came when Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka performed what became known as the Kepler maneuver. Her ship, the CNS Newton, had taken heavy damage and was falling toward a gas giant. Her alien crew had prepared to evacuate, but Tanaka saw an opportunity. "Computer, calculate trajectory for a gravity-assisted acceleration burn," she ordered. "Lieutenant, that maneuver would subject the crew to 15 standard gravities," the computer replied. "No known species can survive those forces." "Humans can," Tanaka said simply. "All non-human crew to escape pods. Now." What followed violated every safety protocol in the Confederation manual. Tanaka used the gas giant's gravity to accelerate her ship to speeds that should have liquefied every bone in her body. But humans from Earth were built for gravity 3 times normal. 15 gravities was survivable, if barely. The Newton screamed out of the gravity well like a missile, ramming directly into the Devourer command ship at 17% of light speed. The explosion could be seen from the other side of the star system. When the battle was over, 60% of the Devourer fleet had been destroyed or disabled. The remainder retreated toward their main base at the Galactic Rim. Dr. Zafani found herself looking at the human officers with new eyes. They had taken a fleet designed for peace and turned it into a weapon of war. They had fought a battle that should have been impossible to win and emerged victorious. But most importantly, as soon as the enemy was gone, they became gentle again. Commander Torres was helping injured alien crew members to the medical bay. Lieutenant Tanaka, somehow still alive after her impossible maneuver, was coordinating rescue operations for the Devourer ships they had disabled. Admiral Chen was already planning humanitarian aid for the refugees they had saved. "How do you do it?" Dr. Zafani asked Chen as they watched rescue shuttles move between the damaged ships. "Do what?" "Switch back and forth like that. One moment you're killers, the next you're healers." The Devourer mothership hung in space like a mechanical nightmare, larger than most moons, and bristling with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Admiral Sarah Chen studied the massive structure through the main viewer of the CNS Liberation, knowing that everything they had fought for would be decided in the next few hours. "Final report on the mothership's defenses?" she asked. Commander Torres looked up from his tactical station, his scarred face grim. 47,000 individual weapon systems, shielding that could stop a supernova. And Doctor, tell her about the core. Dr. Zafani floated closer to the command center, her tentacles curled with worry. The Devourer mothership isn't just a weapon, Admiral. It's their entire civilization. Every piece of technology they've stolen from the 17 civilizations they consumed is stored in that core. If they escape with it, they can rebuild everything we've destroyed. Chen nodded. They had known this moment would come. The running battles over the past 2 months had been leading to this, the final confrontation with the source of the Devourer threat. And there's no way to penetrate those defenses from the outside? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. None, Torres confirmed. We've tried everything. Energy weapons, kinetic bombardment, even ramming attacks. Nothing gets through. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Around them, the combined Confederation fleet waited for orders. 1,200 ships crewed by. Dozens of species, all looking to the humans for salvation. There is one option, Chen said quietly. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her. A small team could take a shuttle through the mothership's docking bay. The internal defenses aren't as strong as the external ones. If we could reach the core and detonate a quantum singularity device, that's suicide, Dr. Zafani said, immediately. Even if you could reach the core, the explosion would destroy everything within 50,000 kilometers. You'd never escape. I know, Chen said simply. Commander Torres was already moving to his feet. Admiral, if you're going, I'm going with you. So am I, added Lieutenant Tanaka from the navigation station. And me, said Dr. Ramirez from the science station. Dr. Zafani watched in amazement as every human officer on the bridge volunteered for what was obviously a suicide mission. But more surprisingly, several alien officers also stepped forward. Admiral, said Sub-Commander Velka, an Altarian who had served under human command for 2 months. My people owe humanity a debt we can never repay. If humans are willing to die for us, then I can die alongside humans. Similar declarations came from around the bridge. Dr. Zafani felt something break inside her chest, a feeling she had never experienced before. This is what you meant, isn't it? She asked Chen. When you said we'd see what Deathworlders do when everything they care about is threatened? Partially, Chen replied. But it's not just about being willing to die. It's about choosing what's worth dying for. An hour later, Chen stood in the shuttle bay looking at her volunteer team. 12 beings from 6 different species, all preparing for a mission they knew they wouldn't survive. The shuttle Defiant was loaded with enough quantum explosives to crack a small planet. It was also equipped with the best stealth technology. The Confederation could provide and piloted by the most skilled human pilot in the fleet. Captain Martinez, Chen said to the pilot, you understand that once we launch, there's no coming back? Captain Elena Martinez, the same human who had represented Earth during first contact, smiled. Admiral, I've been preparing for this my whole life. Every human has. We've always known that someday we might have to choose between our lives and everyone else's freedom. Dr. Zafani, who had insisted on joining the mission despite having no military training, checked her environmental suit one more time. I still don't understand why you're willing to do this for people who feared you just months ago, Commander Torres answered while checking his weapon systems. Because fear doesn't change what's right. These people, your people, they're not warriors. They're artists, scientists, dreamers. They've created 3,000 years of peace. That's worth protecting. Even if they never fully trust us? Chen asked. Even if they always see us as dangerous predators? Especially then, Torres replied. That means they're smart enough to survive. The shuttle launched 12 minutes later using the cover of a massive fleet engagement to slip through the Devourer perimeter. Martinez piloted them through a maze of defensive systems that would have destroyed any normal ship, using human reflexes and intuition to find paths that computer analysis said didn't exist. Approaching the docking bay, Martinez announced. Looks like they're expecting us. Through the shuttle's viewports, they could see mechanical defenders waiting in the mothership's massive hangar. Thousands of repair units had been converted into weapons, creating a deadly maze between the landing area and the core. "Can we make it through?" Chen asked. "On foot, maybe," Torres said. "The shuttle's too big and too slow." Chen activated the communication system. "Fleet Command, this is Admiral Chen. We're beginning our assault on the core. Continue the external attack no matter what happens to us." "Acknowledged, Admiral," came the reply from Captain Liu aboard the Indomitable. "Good luck." What followed was the longest hour in recorded Confederation history. The assault team fought their way through the mothership's corridors, facing mechanical defenders that adapted to their tactics with terrifying speed. But the humans had an advantage the Devourers couldn't understand. They weren't fighting to win, they were fighting to reach a specific point, and they were willing to pay any price to get there. Dr. Zafani watched in awe as the human members of the team threw themselves into impossible situations to protect their alien teammates. Torres held off an entire corridor of defenders single-handedly so that Sub-Commander Velka could repair their sealed door. Lieutenant Tanaka carried an injured Kalani engineer for 3 kilometers while under constant fire. But it was Captain Chen who made the choice that defined humanity's place in the galaxy forever. They reached the core chamber with only half their team still alive. The quantum device was damaged but functional. The timer showed they had exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds to reach minimum safe distance, a distance that was now impossible to achieve. "Admiral," Dr. Zafani said, "the blast radius calculations. We can't all make it out." Chen looked around at her surviving team, 3 humans, 2 Altarians, 1 Kalani, and Dr. Zafani herself. Then she looked at the quantum device that would save the galaxy. "Martinez, get everyone back to the shuttle. That's an order." "Admiral, you can't. Someone has to stay to make sure the device detonates properly. You know that. Take everyone, and go." "We're not leaving you," Torres said firmly. Chen turned to face her team, and Dr. Zafani saw something in her eyes that she had never seen before. Not just determination, but peace. "Marcus, listen to me. This isn't about heroics or glory. This is about mathematics. 1 life to save billions. That's good math." Before anyone could argue, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The Devourers had realized what was happening and were trying to reach the core. "Go!" Chen shouted. "That's an order!" The team ran. Dr. Zafani was the last to leave, and she turned back to see Admiral Chen standing alone next to the quantum device, calmly making final adjustments. They made it to the shuttle with 17 seconds to spare. Martinez launched them toward the fleet at maximum acceleration, pushing the small ship beyond its design limits. The explosion lit up the entire system. When the light faded, the Devourer mothership was gone. The threat that had consumed 17 civilizations was finally ended, but something else happened that no one expected. As the shuttle limped back toward the fleet, Dr. Zafani detected a faint signal on the emergency frequencies. "This is Admiral. Chen aboard Escape Pod 7. Could really use a pickup right about now." The core chamber had been equipped with an emergency escape system that Chen had discovered at the last moment. She had programmed the quantum device, climbed into the pod, and been ejected just seconds before the explosion. When they recovered her, she was bruised, radiation sick, and unconscious, but alive. 3 days later, Chen stood before the Galactic Confederation Council for the last time as a military commander. The Devourer threat was ended, the galaxy was safe, and humanity had proven itself in ways no one could have imagined. "Admiral Chen," said Counselor Veltar, "the Confederation owes humanity a debt we can never repay. You have shown us that true strength isn't the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to know when destruction is necessary and the courage to pay the price for peace." Chen nodded. "Thank you, Counselor. But if I may, I'd like to request that humanity be assigned to a different role in the Confederation going forward." "What role did you have in mind?" "Protection," Chen said simply. There are a lot of peaceful species in this galaxy, and now they know there are threats out there that peace alone can't stop. We'd like to be the ones who stand between the innocent and the darkness, so that everyone else can continue to create beautiful things. Dr. Zafani, now appointed as the first director of Human Confederation Relations, smiled. I think that sounds perfect. 6 months later, Dr. Zafani stood in a playground on the Altarian home.